The reaction to Liberty Falls has been pretty bad so far. The HUD sucks, the map sucks, the design sucks, the bosses suck, the guns suck. It seems like just everything sucks. The community has even taken to calling the map Liberty Balls, which is the funniest thing ever, I gotta say. But there are lots of complaints, and I think the main one really that people are getting at here is the atmosphere. This map just doesn't have a distinct atmosphere. It looks too much like multiplayer, too much like Warzone. It doesn't look like a zombies map, and I generally do agree. I have a couple caveats there, but I generally think that is a good, true assumption. That's probably an objective assumption, really. I don't even think that's an opinion. I think that's like objectively true. It just doesn't look like a zombies map. I think the best way to actually describe this map is it looks like an Outbreak map. If you remember Outbreak back on Cold War, there would be basically, it was just the multiplayer maps, and they would sprinkle in a couple little zombies assets here and there, right? They'd throw in some crystals, they'd drop in a couple little bodies, and that was about it. But today, because of this, I want to talk about why atmosphere matters in zombies maps. So if you liked it, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoy. So obviously reused assets are not new to zombies. Literally ever since Nocturne and Toten, zombies has been made up of reused assets. Zombies exists because of reused assets. If I remember right, as the story goes, zombies exists because people were doing motion capture for like Japanese soldiers that were being burned, and they had to walk while they were like being burned and dying, and someone said, hey, you kind of look like a zombie, or someone thought that. And that's how the original idea got made for zombies. Right, our favorite maps are made up of reused assets, right? Noct, Verrückt, Der Riese, Ascension 5. There are so many maps that are amazing that are made almost entirely of reused assets. Actually, there is almost no part of 5 that is not reused. Every single piece of it is so reused, and lots of it isn't even modified. It's just straight, they pulled it from here and they stuck it in here and called it a day. But yet still, people love 5. They didn't love it when it came out, I'll give it that, but I don't think it's because of that. I think that was more of like a difficulty issue, but that's besides the point. That's a different video. The main point is these maps don't feel reused because of their specific atmosphere. And when you look at reused maps that don't really have a good atmosphere, it becomes an issue, right? Alpha Omega, really big one. Everybody likes to talk about that one. I mean, all of Cold War, really, almost all of Cold War is made up of reused assets, and people didn't like the atmospheres of the maps. The only map that really had any sort of atmosphere was Mauer der Toten, and even then, I think Mauer der Toten is a little bit overrated. It's a good map, it's a little overrated. It doesn't really have that much of an atmosphere, it's just at nighttime. But looking at that, it becomes very easy and clear to establish that good maps need a good atmosphere. So then, looking at Liberty Falls, how would you apply a good atmosphere to Liberty Falls? You know, let's talk about this. How do we make Liberty Balls into Liberty Falls, okay? The biggest complaint I've seen first is the skybox. It's just really bland. It's just day, right? It's just daytime. The map really is not distinguishable, and I saw this one YouTube comment from some random guy, and I wish I knew where it was and I could find it, but I can't. But this guy made a really interesting comment that I can't fact check it to tell if it's true or not, but he said that every time in the past when zombies has been in the middle of the day, there has been something blocking you from the day. So in Verrückt, despite the fact that the map is set during the day, you're stuck inside, and even when you can go on the balcony, you're still stuck under an overhang. In Kino, despite the fact that it's bright daylight, Kino is one of the brightest maps ever once you go outside, right? Inside of the theater, it does not feel like daytime, even if there are seeps of light. It is so dark and dim, and I think that's a big reason why Kino is so weird and creepy, is because it's set at daytime. I think if Kino was set at night, it wouldn't be quite as eerie. I think it would just be a little bit too on the nose. And then the other example he gave was in 9. So in 9, there are giant statues that block the sunlight, sort of. The map still has sun, don't get me wrong. You can look up and you can see like the sky and stuff. But this guy in his comment, he made the argument sort of that the way that Treyarch used to do it is they would create, so you can be in sunlight, and there would be mountains around you, and you would be placed inside of a valley, metaphorically speaking, and that valley is what made the map still feel tight and restricting and kind of creepy, even though it was set during the daytime. And it seems like Liberty Falls is kind of just lacking that sort of idea. It's almost like if you made a map out of Kino's outside area, right? The outside area in Kino is so strong because it's so small. You get to go outside and breathe for half a second, and then you instantly have to go back in. And it's such a huge contrast. If the entire map was day like that, it just wouldn't work. and I think that's kind of what they did here with Liberty Balls. I can't decide if I want to like call it Liberty Falls or if I just actually want to like unironically call it Liberty Balls the whole time. Another guy in a YouTube comment I saw, God, YouTube comments are going crazy today, said that they should add different weather to make it feel a little bit more unique without having to completely change like the actual physical design of the map. He suggested a bunch of different ones, but the one I liked the most was the idea of having it be cloudy and overcast and rainy. We know what Liberty Falls looks like when it's sunny, right? Liberty Falls is also a multiplayer map, and it's sunny in the multiplayer map. I think the least that they could do is maybe make it a little bit more overcast, cloudy, and then sort of add a bunch of rain. So it gets like, everything gets a slightly darker look because it's raining. I can't believe I'm going to use this, but I think Alpha Omega is kind of an example. I haven't played Alpha Omega in a while, so don't quote me, but Alpha Omega is kind of like overcast. We also saw a couple spots where there's like fire because fire broke out and the buildings are like smoking a little bit. Quite simply, there's nowhere near enough of this. These are like small little contained like stove fires or something, and they need to be bigger fires, I think. The example I would take here is like this like Transit or Nuketown from Black Ops 2. Nuketown is a really dark map, and they use fire to really illuminate the map to make it more visually pleasing to your eye. I think Liberty Falls, if we mix it with that overcast, like cloudy, dark, raining, there's a Black Ops 3 custom map that looks really like what I'm talking about. And having big, huge fires coming out of buildings, that bright red, would give a really nice contrast to the darkness of the map. I mean, they've done this recently. Mauer der Toten, one of the reasons it looks nice is because it's a dark map and there are bright neon signs, and those signs make it look cool. Go ahead, do this for me real quick. Hop on Mauer der Toten and look outside of the map. Go look outside of the map where there's no neon signs because they didn't put any effort into that. It looks boring and abysmal. It sucks. The reason you like Mauer der Toten is probably because of the neon signs, even if you don't think about it. The contrast and the way that light bounces off of each other is really, really important, I think personally, to making a zombies map be what it is. And I think Liberty Falls could really, really benefit from doing that. Another one that probably kind of goes without saying, but we've seen that the church where Pack-a-Punch is like dark etherified. That's cool. I really like how you can actually walk through the portal. It's not like a teleport animation. I will give them that. That's an amazing addition. It looks really cool. But that is pretty much the only area of the map that looks etherified. And we know, like, from the trailer, like, Richtofen is super scared of, like, the outbreak spreading in the area, and we know that Janus actually failed at securing Liberty Falls, so Liberty Falls is technically supposed to be overrun. So it's overrun, and it's, like, supposed to be running rampant, but, like, where is it running rampant? Like, there's one little spot that's got, like, an ether thing in it. So they definitely need to like further etherify the map, you know, kind of like how D-Machine was when you turn on the Dark Ether. Or in the Dark Ether missions in Modern Warfare Zombies where there's like stuff floating in the sky, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I'm not going to go too into detail on that because I think you get what I mean. If you are watching this video and you play zombies, I think you understand. Just environmental storytelling kind of stuff. Also, I think Richtofen's mansion that we see in the intro cutscene, that should be in there too. I think you can see it like outside of the map, I heard someone say, but you can't go to it. My biggest problem with this is, I mean, it's a cool mansion, right? Don't get me wrong. The reason I have a problem with this is because there's dissonance. Right when they were showing Liberty Falls gameplay at COD Next, I instantly noticed this. There is dissonance. The intro cutscene has almost nothing to do with the actual map other than the part where Richtofen says, secure Liberty Falls, right? The entire intro cutscene is like absolutely nothing to do with it, and I know probably that's because they disabled Easter eggs so we can't see it or whatever, but like first impressions, not great looking there. It's like when you go to click on a YouTube video and the thumbnail is like completely clickbait and it's totally different than what the actual video is. That's kind of what that cutscene feels like. Normally in zombies cutscenes they find some way to sort of wrap it around to where the map starts. So you think like at the end of the Der Eisendrache intro cutscene, even though it's not, you know, like in-game, it's just an animated cutscene, they end it with the characters coming up the gondolas where you spawn in on the map, right? In Kino, when you start the game, you start on a telepad and there's a teleporter sound because in Der Riese, they teleport from Der Riese to Kino. Just stuff like that so that there's a context, right? There's no context for Liberty Falls. This one is slightly bleeding into gameplay as well as atmosphere, but I think there needs to be a new mini-boss. The gameplay we saw, you know, we could see the normal bosses, we see, you know, the Mangler, I think there was a Mangler, I know for sure there's an Abomination. I'm just gonna throw it straight to you. I am so sick of Mangler, Mimic, Abomination, Disciple. It's been 3.5 years. These are like the only bosses we are seeing. No, MWZ was not original. The Mega Abomination, they just took the Abomination and they scaled it up 4 times and they called it a day. That's all they did. Remember when we used to get a new boss in every map that was themed for that map? Or we would at least get a redesign of a boss that made it more appropriate and fitting for that map if they didn't have time to make a new one. You would think, right, with all this crap that Richtofen's got going on in his mansion, all this secret underground laboratory stuff, if they're holding like the Forsaken and Samantha Maxis underneath of his like mansion thing, you would think Janus has surely got some secret stuff going on with some zombies, right? You think they could have at least one type of new mini-boss? They put one on Terminus, I'll give them that, yeah, sure. But there kind of needs to be one here too. And the problem is, like, okay, what boss would it be? We don't know, because the map doesn't have an atmosphere. There's no way for me to tell you what that boss would be. The easiest cop-out I can think of, other than just, oh, Janus is working on some crazy stuff underground, here's a mutated zombie from a lab, is maybe, okay, so they failed to contain the Dark Ether spreading, so it's spreading. There are new things coming out of it. Well, just take an old boss zombie that's stuck in the Dark Ether because of the end of Togder Toten and bring it back, redesign it a little bit, call it a day, right? Right? Take Brutus or the Margwa or the freaking Valkyrie drones from Gorod Krovi, like something, please. Take something different than the Mangler, please. And just bring it back, redo it a little bit. Boom. That's a cop-out. That is a cop-out. That's totally a cop-out, but it's better than the Mangler cop-out. I'm tired of the Mangler cop-out. And because I could go on about this all day, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to give you my last point. My last point, I think, is they need to make the threat feel real. There isn't really the feel of a threat in this map, right? We're told that this is supposed to be like, okay, this could be like the end of the world if this doesn't get contained, right? Richtofen, who is here operating in this place in West Virginia, who is in control of everything before, right? Remember, the ball under this map is supposed to be like the ball that has the Forsaken that almost ate the entire world and Samantha Maxis in it, right? Look at this map. It sure as shit doesn't feel like the Forsaken is sitting underneath this map, right? Don't you think there should be like cracks in the floor and lava should be showing or something, just something like that? The stakes here are supposed to be really high, but they just don't look it. If you went into this map and you didn't know that, you would just think, oh, it's a little town with some zombies in it. Okay, we'll just do that. When actually, storyline terms speaking, this map is way more of a big dangerous threat than Terminus is, but Terminus is the one that looks like the cool big dangerous threat. Now, I know, you know, they've got all the Easter eggs disabled or whatever. Maybe the Easter egg is actually really grand and does some cool things like that. But for now, it doesn't matter because they didn't tell us that. If they wanted us to know that, they would have told us that, but they didn't. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was like it was a mix of a rant about Liberty Balls and about how atmosphere really matters. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Definitely leave a comment and let me know how you feel about Liberty Balls. And yeah, I will see you guys very soon. I'm actually trying to make some videos now because I tend to struggle with that.